BBC Verify published an article, a look essentially at the differing analyses of how many farms will be impacted by the government's recent changes to agricultural relief. I think the truth is actually we don't know exactly how many farms are going to be impacted. This is a very complicated issue. The government haven't really done a full impact assessment.
No, the Treasury says one set of numbers, the Department for Environment says another number.
Yeah, but I'll tell you who I am inclined to believe. I'm inclined to believe organisations like the Countryside Alliance, the National Farmers Union, the organisations that actually deal with farmers on a day-to-day basis, are actually, based in the countryside many times themselves, and are genuine experts on this issue. I'm going to trust them over people, behind their desks in Whitehall, and politicians who have never spent a day in rural communities, and come from the charity sector, trade union sector, and public sector. So I'm inclined to trust them. But BBC Verify have decided instead to trust government figures and essentially propagandise for the government, and have actually been caught now editing their article to remove that, essentially what was propaganda for the government.
And it was a bit embarrassing also when Keir Starmer, in a speech when he was over in Brazil, said, in a press conference, BBC agree with my figures because the BBC used government figures.
Yeah, and it's a really shocking politicisation of the BBC. We know how politicised the BBC has become in recent years, and Keir Starmer's only chosen to add fuel to the fire, and it's just another mishap for an organisation that is in crisis. The National Audit Office has just said over the last couple of days that the corporation hasn't produced a hit show for 5 years. They've just scrapped Hard Talk, which I think was actually a high quality piece of output, and now they're spending £3.2 million just on staff alone for BBC Verify, which is looking increasingly like a white elephant that can't even do its basic job.
No, exactly. And I've had a few bit of contact with them a few years back when I was talking about lockdowns and policies on that at the time, and they decided to sort of verify some of the things that I had claimed, and it was absolutely fascinating. And I sent them back a rather long email saying, why don't you actually look into things like, mad things like, government policy, whether there's a cost-benefit analysis, this or that. And they don't seem to look into things that really matter. It's nearly always some sort of rather sort of silly Twitter row that people are having, and then they look into that. So they're using taxpayer-funded resources, being terribly pompous. Oh, we are now going to give our verdict like a Roman emperor at the Colosseum, whether they give a thumbs up or a thumb down. We will give our verdict, and then that will be the end of the matter. But as a lot of people have been asking in recent years, who's fact-checking the fact-checkers?